When selling by owner, you're going to be contacted by somewhere between 20, 30, 40, 50 real estate agents from different real estate companies. Sometimes they have a contest that particular week or month to see how many people, how many by owners they can list. So you're being approached by quite a bit strategically by using the exact same phraseology and things like that. Why they should pick, you should be picked to list with them and things like that. And why you can't sell, and on the contrary, you can sell by owner, which of course you're trying to do, so you believe in it. But there's going to be people who will tell you you can't. Now on the flip side, there's a pretty good chance, I would say, with most buy owners historically across the United States, it's close to 90% of those buy owners, when they sell, the realtor had the buyer. The seller was unrepresented because they are doing it on their own, but the buyer is represented a lot of times by a rabbit. A rabbit's, again, the relocation buyer, or a buyer locally with a sense of urgency versus a turtle or a sloth. So how do you get sometimes these rabbits? Well, a lot of times you're going to find they're in a car right now with a realtor. And the question is, how can you tell if the realtor who calls you is telling you the truth or not that they have a buyer for your property? Because again, it's around 9 out of 10 buy owners that succeed, that they'll do it with a real estate agent having the buyer. Now, that might not be the greatest news for a buy owner who said, well, I'm going to do this completely on my own. But the real rabbits, the buyers with a sense of urgency, tend to be with a realtor. Because when they get really serious about homes, sometimes they get off of Zillow and they get onto an MLS feed. And you might have done the same thing. You got off Zillow because it's not exactly accurate. And so you start looking at properties through an MLS feed from any real estate company's site. You may not be with that agent, but you're looking at an MLS site because it's real, live data. So your buyer possibly is in a car right now. I want to encourage you to say that you might be receptive to a realtor bringing you a buyer, because they, in theory, they should be taking care of certainly the buyer side, but overseeing the seller side so you don't make a mistake. And you might have sold by owner 12 years ago and things have changed, whatever the case. Lots of lending institutions, rules have changed and things like that. You can do this, you can sell by owner, but I'm not advocating the realtor one way or the other, but I'm just saying the probability that your buyer is in a car right now with the realtor, and the question is, do I cooperate with them, yes or no? A lot of buy owners, the first 2 or 3 days, it's no. My confidence is high, I'm going to find the buyer. But in the reality, most rabbits, people with sense of urgency, they're with a realtor. So it's a matter of, how do you screen out the realtors who just want to list your house because they have all the answers and you don't, is what they think. And my goal again here is to equip you to succeed. And a lot of our industry is going to say things like, you can't do this, you need a realtor, this is too complicated. And of course, it's challenging, but I did want to encourage you that your buyer is potentially in a car with a realtor, and to encourage you to pay a buyer's agent if they make that request, because they may have your buyer that will pay your price and give you your date. And a lot of times this is going to happen again in that first 10 days or so, because there's pent-up demand. The realtor wants the buyer, if you will, out of their car. They've been driving that buyer around for a couple weeks, sometimes 8, 10, 12 weeks or longer, and they want the buyer to buy today, and you're part of the portfolio. You're part of the inventory in the marketplace. And when a buy owner says, no, we're not going to cooperate with realtors, that agent is going to take that buyer someplace else where they can get compensated, which is fair. So the probability of selling by owner, high. With a realtor that has the buyer, pretty high, because your buyer is probably in a car right now. Last thought on this is, well, what do we pay the agents? And so I've had buy owners say numbers that are all over the place. However, if again, if you contact us, we'll share with you what the typical payout is to a buyer's agent in your quadrant. And what's the percentage a realtor can get at all these different real estate companies. And the goal is to be in that ballpark, to compensate, just like if you were getting a job, you wanted fair compensation. You wouldn't think it's fair if your new employer or something like that said, I'm only going to give you half of what you can get as a professional in the industry. So the goal is to be competitive, either pay about that. We've seen buyer owners actually sometimes more than that, to make sure the agent is not apprehensive, who has your buyer, not apprehensive to show your home. Again, you hit the contact us and we'll share with you what the approximate payout is for a whole bunch of properties. It won't be one or two properties, it'll be a long list so you can get accurate information. Thanks for watching.